Our thanks to the kids at Cassis Elementary for opening their garden gates to us. It's always great to see young ones with their hands in the soil and growing the plants. So thanks again for sharing with us. Right now we're going to be talking about Greengate Farms and getting ready for the fall garden. Greengate Farms is a local farm, community-supported agriculture, and we're joined by Erin, Flynn, and Skip Connett. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so CSA, community-supported agriculture. Big sounding concept, but really simple the way it lives in the ground, right?
It's extremely simple, and it's the reason we started our farm. We wanted our farm to be open to the community and really pull people in. And so CSA is really, it's just a way of turning farming around, because in the past, farmers would work for months and months and months. Gardeners know what that's like. And then if you're lucky, someone will come by and buy your food at a fair price. But that doesn't always happen. And so a lot of farmers go out of business because they can't get paid for their work. So what happens with the CSA is it really turns it around, and we have members who say, I'm going to support you throughout this growing season, and I'm going to support you at the beginning of the season. And that's really, really important to farmers, because that way we know how much to plant, we know how many members we have, but we also have an income. And so we can pay our workers, we can buy our seed, and it kicks off the season. And it really means a lot to have our members supporting us. It makes all the difference, because we know who we're growing for.
So the members benefit because they're getting fresh produce. And how does that work, real briefly?
So yeah, they come each week to our farm, and whatever we're growing, whatever's in season, they will get a box full of vegetables, usually about 9 different varieties.
Wow.
So right now, in the summer, it kind of cuts down to about 5 because of, what can grow well here. But at any given time, they're getting 8 to 10 things, and it's enough to feed a family of 4. We say, if they're vegetarians, maybe less, but they can, for $35, $38 a week, they can get all their vegetables that they need.
And locally grown, it doesn't have to be flown across the world.
No, it's certified organic.
That's great.
We're certified.
That's
and
great.
We do all natural practices, and we have a variety, probably 50 varieties of vegetables at any one time. So.
Okay. We also have a farm stand at our farm, because it's not just limited to CSA. And what we tell people is you can come see where your food is raised and grown. And so you can even participate in the harvest if you want.
Well,
we have U-Pick.
And I bet a lot of people would be interested in doing that. Our audience, we have all these home gardeners who are very enthusiastic about supporting agriculture, but also getting their hands dirty and doing the work themselves. And at this time of year, we're heading into that fall garden. And for so many of us, this is really the best time for vegetable gardening. So at this time of year in September, what are you guys doing on the farm right now?
Well, I love the fall. The fall, to me, after the hot summer, and that the bugs are dying, the plants are headed down, they've done all their damage, and you got the rest of the year. And what's great about farming here in Central Texas is we can go all year round. So the winter, a lot of my friends up north are, winding down now, worried about the frost and get everything out of the fields in time, and we're just starting. The frost is light enough that a lot of the vegetables can get through it without too much work. We do put some row cover on with some deep frost, but a lot of the cool weather crops now that we're planting for, all the brassicas, broccoli, kale, collards, Brussels sprouts, they're getting in the garden right now. We've put them in August, and we get transplants to put them out right now, and they'll be ready by the end of October, early November.
So for the home gardener, what they may be hearing, you're putting them out, but that doesn't mean seeds. You're putting out things you've already started.
Yeah, very few things are directly seeded. The germination rate is just so inconsistent that
you do it in a controlled environment.
So I would recommend that you go find a good nursery, and if you can get organic stock.
Or a plant sale. We're kicking off our CSA with a plant sale.
So good.
Check with your local farmer, because they might have some plants available for planting.
And some varieties that you won't find if you go to Home Depot or so. We really focus on some of the heirlooms, some of the vegetables that are grown for taste, and that do well here in Texas. We've, after 5 years of working at this, we've figured out what does well and what doesn't. And there's a lot of things that we would love to grow, and they just can't handle either the extreme heat, the drought, or whatever. So, but the fall is really, it's hard to mess up in the fall.
Yeah. Well, you've already mentioned the brassicas, and I want to talk about some other plant families. But before we do that, I want to, for those who are playing catch up out there, and a lot of us are, we're late behind the 8 ball and a lot of stuff, right? What about soil preparation? A lot of our folks out there They had their spring garden. Some things limped along through the summer.
Right, yeah.
It's cool enough now that they're maybe beginning to look outside again.
And it might be full of weeds.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing to do in terms of the soil?
Well, I mean, if you have a small plot, obviously you need to use every inch of it, and you can't let it go fallow. We like to let some of our fields get a rest after the summer because they put on a lot of tomatoes and peppers and so forth. But at the same time, we have to go in there and start all over again on a lot of the fields. And so what we'll do is we make our own compost. That's an advantage of being on the farm, and we get scraps from Whole Foods and leaves, and so we've got our own compost to use. But you're going to have to amend the soil right now. There's no need to get a soil test, I don't think. But the most important thing is that you get some organic matter back in there because of the heat for the summer has burned it all up.
Right.
So if you've got some mulched leaves there, work those into the soil. The soil's also going to be very dry. So if you're not using drip tape, some sort of irrigation system, you need to get your beds fairly wet and do it slowly over a couple of days to get it, so you can get down in there and work the soil, get that organic matter in there, and get the bed really ready for some germination.
That's a good tip to get the soil moist enough so that when you do turn it, it's just not like turning rocks.
And cool it down. I mean, the biggest the problem we have right now is the heat has been there. The soil in September is still 90 degrees, and a lot of things will just burn up in that heat.
So let's go back and talk about some of the other things that do really well in the fall. What are some of the other things that you like to put in the ground at this time, and talk about some of the different tips for growing them well?
One of the things we try and do in our CSA is to provide some of the old standbys that everyone loves, but also give them some new flavors and new varieties. Kohlrabi is one of those. It does really well in the winter here, and it has a big baseball-sized head that you can peel off and put in your salad. It's almost like a turnip in some ways, but it's sweeter. The leaves can be used to put in to cook down, to braise. High curate turnips are similar to that, and they have an incredible sweet taste. They're the size of a golf ball.
They're amazing.
So they're not your,
You can eat them right out of the field. And I'm not a turnip girl, but they're so incredible, and they're so satisfying. You know? One thing people can do is Slow Food has an arc of taste that lists these flavors that are unusual, but really satisfying. So we go to the Slow Food website. That's a good place to check out and get some growing ideas.
Right.
But expand your horizon. Don't go to the same seed company or go to this different nursery and see what's out there, because a lot of farmers have experience of what will do well here. Kales do great this time of year, and they'll go all winter. They won't have a problem.
And there's so much you can do with kale, and again, I think if people just think of it as in most basic form, but you go to like the websites you were referencing and others, you can come up with so many creative ways to use these crops.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
One of our favorites is green garlic this time of year. It's in the ground now. In about a month or so, it'll be about this tall. And, we use it in place of a lot of scallions because it has a longer lasting in the storage in the refrigerator, but also it just has this mild flavor. It's actually elephant garlic is what we grow. And it's actually in the leek family. So it has a much milder taste than a lot of the hardneck garlics. And it's difficult to grow hardneck garlic here in the South, but elephant garlic does incredibly well. And we've got all of our CSA members addicted to it because they use it for all their sautés. And it's a great opportunity to grow.
A cross between a leek and a garlic sounds perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's easy to start. You just go to the grocery store and get some organic elephant garlic and then plant it. Just get it started.
Right.
And you can use it at every stage. One thing that I always do when Skip's growing massive amounts of things is I wait till they bloom. So there's a garlic scape, which has a really unusual head on it, and we put those in bouquets. So you can use every stage of the plant.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the lettuces, which are my favorite thing for the winter garden, and that is a really great thing. Now, you might want to wait still a little time to put those out.
Yeah, that heat still here in Central Texas, last year we had 90 degrees in September, and unless you have sprinkler systems, we use overhead sprinklers to get ours up and going.
You're right.
Arugula will do okay. Arugula is much better in the heat.
You got to stay up with things in the beginning of the fall, otherwise you will lose them.
Even growing under shade.
Right.
Trying to control the temperature that way.
Yeah. Real briefly, let's talk about the market hours.
Yeah. We're open on Tuesday evenings from 4 to 6, Fridays from 12 to 6, and then Saturdays 10 to 2.
Okay.
And we have a farm stand. It's open to the public. It's all certified organic. We sell not only our vegetables, but we try and make other meats available from local farmers. So there's everything there. One-stop shop.
Okay, great. And greengatefarms.net is the website. I hope folks will visit that and visit you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next is Daphne Richards.